Welcome to Lesson 10. This is the final lesson of the course, and I think it's a very fitting place to end. We've spent 9 lessons looking at how parents can understand and support what's happening inside school. And this one zooms out. It asks a bigger question. What kind of person are we trying to help our child become? And how does the world beyond our neighborhood, beyond the school, factor into that? Let's get started. So the outcome for this lesson is about extending, taking what your child is learning and connecting it to the larger world. That is what global competence is really about, and it's something families are genuinely well placed to develop. So here's what we're going to be covering. We'll look at your role as a community connector. We'll define global competence and explore its 4 dimensions. We'll look at how families can extend learning beyond the classroom. We'll think about everyday opportunities for perspective taking and service, and we'll tie it all back to the IB mission and the learner profile. The parent role in this lesson is community connector, and it's one of the most expansive roles in this course. Being a bridge builder means helping children see that what they're learning at school isn't separate from the world. Knowledge shapes how we live, how we work, how we relate to other people. And when parents make those connections visible, children start to understand that education has a purpose beyond grades. Introducing diverse voices means exposing your child to different perspectives, cultures, and communities, not as a formal lesson, but through the books you choose, or the conversations you have, or the communities that you're a part of. And helping children to see themselves as part of a whole, both local and global. That's the deeper work here. Children who feel connected to something larger than their immediate circle tend to develop more empathy, more curiosity, and more of a sense of responsibility. Parents who step into this role model something very important, that learning is lifelong and that it matters far beyond the classroom. So, what is global competence? Well, it's a term from researchers, and I'm sorry if I butcher this name, Boix Mansilla and Jackson. And it refers to the knowledge, skills, and dispositions needed to navigate an interconnected world. And according to them, there are 4 capacities at the heart of it. The capacity to investigate the world beyond your immediate environment, the capacity to recognize and appreciate multiple perspectives, the capacity to communicate effectively across cultures, and the capacity to take action and improve conditions for others. Notice that this isn't just academic. Empathy is in there. Curiosity is in there. A sense of responsibility is in there. Parents matter here because these dispositions are grown at home as much as at school. When a child sees a parent genuinely curious about how the world works, or genuinely troubled by something unfair, that models something a textbook can't. So let's go through the 4 dimensions more concretely. First is investigate. Encourage your child to ask questions about issues beyond their own life. How does climate change affect people in other countries? What is life like for children in other parts of the world? It starts with curiosity. Next is recognize. Teach that others may see the same situation differently because of their culture, their experience, or their values, and that's okay. A useful question to keep handy is, why might someone see this differently? That one question, if asked regularly, builds a lot of perspective taking over time. Third is communicate. Help children to express themselves clearly and also to listen, to adjust how they talk depending on who they are talking to. This is a skill and it takes practice. And lastly is to take action. Help children understand that their actions, however small, can make a difference. Choosing to help a neighbor, participating in a community cleanup, reducing waste at home, these connect to a larger global challenge in ways that are worth naming. This slide is an invitation to pause and reflect. Have you and your family touched on any of these 4 dimensions already, maybe without even realizing it? Perhaps a dinner conversation that turned into a discussion of fairness, or a book that a child picked that introduced them to a life very different from their own. Maybe a decision to donate something rather than to throw it away. Take a moment to think about it. global competence is often already in your home. This lesson is just about making it more intentional. Perspective taking doesn't require a special curriculum. It fits into everyday life. When you watch the news together, ask, how might children in another country feel about this? That question can shift the conversation. When choosing books by authors from different cultures and backgrounds, this matters more than people sometimes realize. The stories we read shape the people we can imagine ourselves to be, and the people we can imagine others to be. When comparing experiences, this can be very powerful as well. What's the same about your life and theirs? And what's different about your life and theirs? That comparison, done with genuine curiosity rather than judgment, can build empathy. Try some roleplay, perhaps. Simply practicing stepping into someone else's shoes, asking what they might see, feel, or need is something children are often naturally quite good at. We just don't always connect it to this bigger idea. This everyday practice is what prepares children to engage respectfully with others who live different lives to them. Global competence is about knowing, and it's also about doing. Local service is a natural starting point. Food drives, community cleanups, helping a neighbor, these are real, concrete, and within reach. Child-led initiatives are worth encouraging. When a child designs a small awareness campaign in class, or decides that they want to raise money for something that matters to them, they're practicing agency, and that's valuable. Mindful choices connect everyday actions to global challenges. Recycling, reducing waste, choosing fair trade, not in a preachy way, but in a matter-of-fact way that makes the connection visible. And modeling service is perhaps the most important thing. When children see you giving your time or skills to something that matters, they learn that this is what adults do, to become part of their picture of what a good life looks like. Children who take part in action start to see themselves as agents of change, and that is not a small thing. The IB describes the aim of developing inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help create a better, more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. This is not just an organization mission or a school mission. This is a family mission too. The learner profile attributes that we focus on in this lesson are open-mindedness, caring, being principled, and being reflective. And each of them can be reinforced at home through small specific moments. Praising a child for listening carefully to a friend's different opinion. Noticing and naming when they act with empathy. Acknowledging honesty and fairness in everyday decisions. Asking them to pause and think about how their choices might affect others. These aren't big interventions. They're just the language of a family that's paying attention to the kind of person their child is becoming. Okay, so how can we extend learning beyond the classroom? Museums and cultural festivals are a great place to start because they ground abstract ideas in real encounters. Documentaries and news discussions give children a window into the world and an opportunity to form views and ask questions. Bringing school home by asking children what they're learning and finding ways to apply it in daily life is something that takes 30 seconds at the dinner table, and it means a great deal as well. And what about ethical discussions? Talking about fair choices, about the impact of what we buy, what we waste, how we treat others. This is the kind of conversation that stays with children. When children experience all of this, they start to understand that education isn't something that happens to them between 9 and 3. It's something that runs throughout their entire life. So here are 5 simple things to try. As always, dinner table discussions. Ask open questions. What did you learn today? And how might it matter in real life? It changes the texture of the conversation. Maybe try news chats. Watch or read a short news piece together and ask, how might kids in other countries see this differently? One question, that is enough. What about global food nights? Cook a meal from another culture and talk about the traditions like geography, the similarities with your own family. It's a concrete and it's a memorable experience for them. Go to the library and make book choices with global competence in mind. Explore stories from different cultures and ask what life looks like for children in those places. And look for acts of service. Choose one small family project, maybe donating or recycling or helping a neighbor, and connect it explicitly to global ideas like fairness and sustainability. Name the connection, and that's what makes it stick. As with every lesson, the experimentation log is there for you to try something small and track what happens. Pick one thing from this lesson, try it, notice what your child does, and reflect on how you do it differently. That's the cycle. That's how learning works in children and in adults. And that's the end of lesson 10 and of the course. Over these 10 lessons, you've thought carefully about what it means to be involved in your child's education. Not just tracking homework or grades, but genuinely engaging in how they learn and how they grow and who they are becoming. I think these 3 words on the slide say it well. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and stay connected. Those are the qualities we've been building towards across all of this. From the very first lesson, this whole course has been structured around Walker and colleagues' idea that how parents see their role shapes whether they step into it. The fact that you have completed this course says something about how you see yours. You have earned each and every one of these badges. Wear them with pride. Your children are lucky to have you. Cheers.